Hi, everyone, and welcome to the kind of the end of our uh, journey of that's been guided for the past couple of months through SolidWorks, and this is the grading and whatnot video for the storage board and the assembly of it. So here's the storage board itself. I put it all in red because I like red. And just wanted to make sure you know what I'm going to be looking for. Of course, I'm going to start off as usual with all the sketches open. You'll look at this and, nice flat thing, just used a thin. So all I did was make one line, boom, done. I've got a whole thick board here. And then I made this Voss extrude for the saw. And regenerate those, I guess. Oh, okay, and then making that for the crescent wrench. And then one of those for the screwdriver bits, and then making a pattern over that way, and then I'm making a pattern over and up of the exact same thing. And then this extrude, creating a plane in between it, right there, and then making the mirror. All right, so here are all the basic parts. This is actually pretty dang easy, all things considered. All we have are Boss extrudes. It's gonna let me rebuild it? I guess not. So I guess I'll have to rebuild that later. But so this is very straightforward stuff with the exception of the linear patterns. So that's a little bit of a new trick, doing it in 2 dimensions and removing one set of them. Making a plane should be nothing new, and making a mirror should be nothing new. Then we have a draft that comes in. Make sure that that draft gets onto the correct surfaces, this one, and this one, so that our parts stay in place and aren't as likely to fall off of the board. And then we have the new thing, it's the shell. All right, so we have a bunch of thin, the extrude thin here, thin here. Those thin extrusions um, are different, are new for you. But then the shell here is great for anything with casting or injection molding. So make sure it gets applied to that surface here, and it should cut out a little bit of this here as well. Otherwise, if you have it all solid, your plastic parts are going to get a little wonky, and you don't want that. And all the rest of it is just fillets all the way down here. So all sorts of fillets all over the place. And notice that when I did it in a nice, very consistent sequence, and not just willy-nilly, but it made sure that it was a logical sequence of events. All right, so then the next comes up as the storage board here. And I'm gonna have each one of these parts is going to be securely mated, but you'll notice that it's right flat against the board here because it's quote unquote is down a little on this uh, ramp. Same thing with the crescent wrench, and also right here you can see the slope for the screwdriver so that it would stay right where it belongs. All right, now that doesn't apply to these guys. These guys are just kind of sitting there, and I'm assuming an interference fit somewhere. So we'll go through that. We have a whole bunch of mates. So we've got this one, and this one. You can tell what they're to if you just drag this out here. And this is the front, top, and right of the assembly. And then you've got the saw here, here, and there. Then the crescent wrench is going to be right on flat against the board there. And then there's those planes. Now, this is where probably the biggest question comes. So I'm going to skip over to that. And that is the crescent example here. So I've created the center of mass. Then some people say, hey, it disappeared. That's right, it did. There are two things you need to do to see the center of mass. Right click here and show it there, but also up here, you need to make sure that center of masses are showing. So both of those have to be going, I believe, if you want that to, yep, got to have both of them happening for that to show up. So that's one little bit. And then to actually get that plane going, that center of mass plane going through that space, you need to make that sketch. Now, the problem is people have had issues with that sketch and they can't make that point show up. I want to actually turn the center of mass off for a second. They can't make that point connect up with the center of mass. The reason that is because they're not actually viewing it straight on, normal to. So you want to be facing this straight on, and then you can take that point and match it up with the center of mass. If you're doing it off in an oblique fashion like this, you're not going to be able to match them up. I don't know exactly why they do it that way, but it's a lot harder to work with. So make sure that you are normal to, and those two will match up. Then you can easily make that plane. And then we'll get back to the assembly. And here we are. All right, so going to go through the saw, crescent wrench. Okay, then there's that parallel thing. And there's a crescent assembly, coincident. And now we move over to the screwdriver. Screwdriver, believe it or not, it's actually, I find, the hardest, because you've got this coincident here, which is, I believe, along the planes, which is fine. You know, those two planes, that makes sense. Then this tangent against the back of the board, that makes sense. But then I had tried it a bunch of different times. That's why it's at the bottom. The rest of these, the flathead, Phillips head, and hex, those should be no-brainers over there. And then this tangent here is particularly challenging. Now you can make this edge tangent to the surface, but believe it or not, it doesn't like, there are actually, I believe, 4 technically different positions, and that is where this edge is tangent to that surface here, but also tangent to that surface way in the back over here, and that's 2 more. And a couple, I'm trying to remember, oh, that's right. Also, this curve technically, theoretically goes all the way around. So there are actually 4 different locations where it works. So that's why you see the minus sign here. So I'm going to try to move it, and it does shift down. See that? 1, 1, 2. Okay, it's doing in 2 different locations now. And yeah, okay, so that's all I've got right now is 2 different locations. Oh, there it is. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4 different locations. And I'm having a real hard time making it do just the one. So logically, we're just going to keep it at this, and hopefully it'll be just fine. All right. I hope this helps you. Let's go back and look at what the requirements are for the storage board model. We decide on a file name. Make sure you don't use just, no, it's supposed to be storage word. And it'll save us a lot of trouble. There's the video. Hopefully you've already looked at this. Avoid the problems. Make sure you look at these, but it is pretty simple. And so there's not really a lot of problems to avoid here, other than maybe what I just mentioned. Oh, and that was with the assembly. So the storage board itself, not too much. All right, and so here's the model and checklist to make sure that you don't do any of those silly mistakes. And then here's the example feature tree. Next up is the assembly, and a lot of the same stuff before you start. There we go. And here's the video. And then I show you the normal view versus the oblique view, just like was shown in the video. And then the screwdriver tangent. And then here is the checklist and the example design tree with all of those same things. All right. Well, I hope that helps you um, with your work, and I look forward to seeing it.